Welcome back, YouTube. It is MKG. I'm coming at you guys with another video. And look, I've made plenty of videos on it, and this isn't really, like I said, like I've tried to get it in the algorithm. I've been busy working. People might see this after. And if, you know, um, but it's a reminder. We're we're day it's July 3rd, 2025. Be safe. It is not a time to you could celebrate your freedom all you want. Just be cautious, like I said, because going out in public places, we've already seen it back in the 2020 days when they would run people over and all that crazy, stupid stuff. You know what I mean? No one wants to be a part of that. Learn from the past. Don't be getting yourselves involved in things. The bigger picture is, there's sleeper cells. There's a war going on in the Middle East. See, people could be partying, having a good time, going to clubs, going to bars. Someone might be that might be someone's moment. You might be wrong place, wrong time. Hopefully not. I'm Mexican descent. Mexicans don't do that. That's the Middle Eastern type. But like I said, and we also heard that Israel just bombed Syria. Israel bombing Syria, I don't. It does not look good for the United States because the United States is basically Israel funds the United States. So come on. Anyways, 4th of July, we're probably gonna barbecue, have a good time. Stay away from trouble. If I do go out, probably just not anywhere where it's gonna be any crazy things going on. Like I said, a lot can happen. We don't even know. Um, but yeah, Iran, I meant Israel bombed Syria. We haven't heard from Iran. We've heard Russia's supposedly going broke and China with all this happening around the world. Um, but they could just be investing their money into war and not really. It could be there's a difference from being poor and broke. Um, and I feel like with them, they have the military equipment to go to war. Maybe all right amount of money. I've heard BRICS has got a good amount of money in the trillions. That's what I'm saying. You don't mess with dictator countries, the countries that are ran by dictatorships, because they know the game. They've been in it for way longer than these 4-year term presidents. You know what I mean? But like I said, out of all these presidents, we got ourselves into like a pretty big war. That look for me as a person, and I'm Mexican. I've never even met. I'm not of their descent, so I don't feel like I should be involved. You know what I mean? And that's the honest truth, because I don't only because I don't go for violence. These people never brought violence on me. Why would I bring violence on them? And the people that want me to fight for them consider my people terrorists. It's not a good look. You know what I mean? And the bad people, I mean, I don't know. I mean, but they are profiling a lot of Mexican people. Um, this doesn't look like it's gonna get any better. It just looks like there's more and more and more that's going to go on, and that's why you guys gotta pray for better times, because honestly you don't really know what can really happen. Like I said, look, they're bombing these third world countries. They don't even got food, water. I mean, yeah, they get hit, but they got air defense where they can intercept the missiles. That's why they'll send 250 missiles or whatever, because they know that the air defense could only capture or catch so many. But Iran, like the regime, it's broken. The people of Iran, I've seen some people of Iran, not even the U.S. citizens, are really. They're just regular people. It's the regime. The people, the citizens, they're just there having to fight off a war that's not theirs. They were born into that land, and that they're fighting for what they like. Say for me, for an example, I was born out there. I mean, you're gonna fight for what you got, and especially there's a lot of young people out there really fighting, but and I'm not saying, I mean, they don't know what they're fighting for, because they're a lot of these places, they don't go to school, they don't care about education, and the education system is not the same as the United States and all of this. And I'm not saying the United States education is bad, because if it was bad, why would everyone want to come out to the United States? Everyone getting visas, everyone from China and all that. Maybe for the money. Maybe at this point, we've been seeing a lot of that. A lot of people doing fraud. Um, but the government is working, you know, they're capturing these people. Um, I supported the ICE raids. It's tricky, because right now you're in a standpoint where the precursors are coming from China. They had arrested some Chinese people that were on a phone call that were selling Chinese precursors, and were getting tax write-offs and selling fentanyl precursors, basically the chemicals to make fentanyl. They were getting tax write-offs, and it's one of the largest companies out here. Who even knows if they're gonna go to jail for this? They might just get a lawsuit. They should be the ones going to jail. Take their whole, take that whole market, and you know what I mean. All that person sees all their money, man, because that 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 that's what I would do personally, because if they killed off a bunch of people, look, they're taking advantage, they're exploiting a culture. They're exploiting the Mexican culture, because the Mexican culture has been fighting off. They're already a third world country, you know what I mean? And yeah, look, they wouldn't have, uh, who knows, it's 50-50. It's skeptical. I don't even really want to talk about it, but China knew what they were doing when they were working with Mexico. They knew, okay, yeah, no United States, okay, Mexico's right there. Canada, no, they're too, they're, but it's found its way to Canada. Who knows with Canada? Canada, if Trump is over here fixing the fentanyl problem, And that's the thing, because fentanyl's the thing that's killing billions of people. And fentanyl is a opioid. It's a opioid basically. Like if you hurt yourself at work, right? Oh, my back, or ow, my arm, ow, my whatever. You know, they prescribe that to you. The real ones. The fake ones, I don't know how these people just go on the street, just get them. I don't even know. It was just an epidemic. I didn't see this epidemic from a mile away. Um, I only know one friend from. Look, I had moved districts. I knew a friend from middle school. Would talk to him here and there, and this is how close the epidemic was. He had passed away. I think I was 21. He was 21, but we're basically the same age. And yeah, he passed away. Like basically, I would say it would be about a year ago. Um, so that's the thing, is that if it was that close, I wouldn't want my brother or anybody around that could just kill you. Like, you know what I mean? So for the fact that they were allowing that, and there's 19 different precursors, okay? So basically they could ban one, but there's 18 other ones. You know what I mean? So basically the precursors, they're basically just different types of chemicals to make this, and they're basically, that's what the documents are saying. And hopefully it's not becoming stronger or whatever, because that's gonna be the worst thing. They're trying to kill off the American people from the inside out, little by little, taking their jobs. And America is not really doing what it's supposed to be doing for its own country at the end of the day. It's fighting off another person's war. That's why I say, who knows what can happen, because we're too busy dealing with someone else's war. We're too busy um with all this. Look, the ICE over here trying to deport people. They're you know they need to look, all of that. I mean, look, yeah, I get there's a lot of people that had got past, but at the same time they need to focus on the people in the Middle East. If that's the case, don't focus on, you know what I mean. I mean, they created the problem for themselves. They shouldn't. They created the problem. I feel like they created the problem so they could enforce more and be more aggressive with the law for no reason. There shouldn't be no reason. The country was never like this. The people were never like this. You brought terrorists into our country. I don't got the means to, you know what I mean, to do anything. They're allowing all these people in. I guess some people want better for themselves, but some people, like I said, they're sleeper cells. That's why people don't. The Mexicans, they don't understand either. Like, yeah, they're sleeper cells from other countries that are really trying to, you know. And yeah, we're for the Mexican people, but now when it could go against us. I mean, it could backfire against us. California is one of the biggest revenue when it comes to, bringing in money. So that's the thing that the people have to really watch out for. Um, then you got like Atlanta, you got New York, you got Florida, you got you got all these states basically that are basically, and then you got Washington D.C. I mean, you already seen that they sent out tanks out here. I had I don't know if I had updated everybody on that. They had sent a bunch of on trains basically, tanks heading all the way out there, but they're defending every single part of the border. But look, like I said, there shouldn't be nothing wrong, because when you look at Israel's look up Israel's border, go look up all these other these countries in the Middle East, go look up their borders, like Saudi Arabia or whatever. They're barbed wire, worse, way worse than the Trump ones. You know what I mean? And then people complain. They're just digging themselves. This whole country's basically digging themselves in a deep hole, because and at first it could have been saved, but as of right now, the people, not even the people are not even in debt. That's the crazy thing. The United States is in debt. Did the people dictate whether the United States should be in debt? I didn't say, all right, you know, let me be let's spend another 2 trillion or whatever. You know what I mean? I never we never as people agreed upon that. That's upon these other people. That's why, like I say, you just have to be aware and just understand, because look, right now, there's so much going on. There's so much going on. You got, like I say, you got 4th of July, and you got the bombing from Israel and Syria. So basically, with that, and there was supposed to be a ceasefire, they're throwing us into basically, they're basically asking for it in a sense. You can't really be bombing people when they got kids and stuff and shelters, and people just trying to survive a normal life, because in these third world countries you're basically working to survive. In America it's different. A lot of people in America, they don't it's you're working to build and ultimately grow an empire. The American dream basically is what people will call it. That's why everyone is racing out here to America, because the American dream, people still believe in the American dream. The American dollar is still the dominance of the dollar. Other countries are going through a lot worse than what America's going through. Why not go to America? But America, like I said, we're even look, even past 4th of July, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I mean, look, you don't know. You're hurting these people when they're at their most vulnerable, and they're all at a what they're all of one government. You don't know what these people are talking about. You could bomb where they're having their little meeting. But then I think it's so hard to find these. It's like when Bin Laden, the whole Bin Laden thing, how supposedly they couldn't find him, and then I don't know. All I'm saying is, look, be prepared because it could be, it could be the day that we celebrate freedom, or it could be a regular day that we're just living, and nobody wants to be a part of this. So I I'm telling you guys, stock up on food, stock up on water, stock up on toilet paper, stock up on really any essential thing you're really gonna need, because in a moment like this you're not really gonna find a stoppage, because we I didn't vote, but the people, either we were gonna get more homeless people and a lot of more deaths, or we were gonna get what we're gonna get right now, what we got with Trump. Cause I feel like with Kamala Harris, the whole fentanyl situation wouldn't have gotten fixed. Who knows? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So I'm gonna end it right here. This, just throwing out some topics. Like, subscribe, comment down below, share this with a friend. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate it, y'all. Peace. Have a good day.